Okay, hello, good morning, everybody. So, we're circling back to a deck that we were doing pretty well with at the beginning of the big unbanned shakeups. This is Mono Blue Urza. We've played like a lot of different versions of obviously like Mox Opal mid range decks. We had Dimir with Basim, we had this build, and we had blue white with Dispatch, Esper Sentinel, Portable Hole, and so like all these builds are fine. I really want to play Counterspell. I keep thinking about these decks and how these decks are pretty good at outgrinding other strategies, and how these decks are like so fast and they have so much card draw and they have so much cheap mana. And I'm like, oh, how am I going to beat a Karn? How am I going to beat a Primeval Titan? And how am I going to beat Storm? And then I'm like, well, we could just play Counterspell. And even the play pattern of like on turn 3, playing an Urza and then holding Counterspell up has just been super powerful. It's very reminiscent of the MH1 Urza like Cryptic Command decks, where you just go Urza, Counterspell, untap, and you're just so ahead. Just so ahead. And I do think in order to support this card, you kind of have to be mono blue. At least that's my thinking at the moment, is that mono blue is a lot better. I also really like having access to a lot of sync into the Stupor, so you can just kind of like bounce Ketramoses and anything. But it's a nice way to like tempo out Ketramose. At least it was yesterday. Card Thought Monitor. Let me read this card for the first time. Let me read Thought Monitor. Thought Monitor is I think a lot worse than Thoughtcast. I think you could maybe play one copy over this, like the third Kappa Cannoneer, but the two more affinity is just not where you want to be in this build. It like that two more affinity is like the difference between playing the card on turn 2. Actually had a turn 1 Tamiyo plus Thoughtcast plus flip Tamiyo, but it's the difference between playing it on turn 2 and like turn 4 a lot of the time. All right. Well, this hand really does hope that our Tamiyo doesn't die immediately. Let's keep it. Playing 1 Lrien Revealed. Thanks again, Ninja, for the 6 months. Good thing we're on the play. Your turn. Sometimes it's funny how simple something like I'm just gonna hold up Counterspell is. It's been feeling so simple and so solid. Although I guess this turn we'll play the Opal and then go Emry with Rebuke up. Should be about the same. There's an Amber and a Kappa Cannoneer. Steam Vents, Arid Mesa. Johnson with the 5 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Basic Plans. This is Jeskai Control. Is it worth playing Emry when it's mostly used to replay Mox and Baubles? Well, why don't you try to answer that question for yourself here right now? I think so. I think Emry is good in this deck. I think she's pretty good. You have a lot of card draw, you have a lot of churn, you have a lot of ability to find things to play off Emry, and also playing Emry allows you to can flip the Tamiyo. Playing Emry in your deck allows I guess I'll play the Amber first. You to have Mox Ambers in the deck. If you don't play Emry, you can't play Mox Ambers, and then you have like kind of 2 few cheap artifacts, or like you're a little low. Hear Me Out, Bright Glass and Sam combo to find Cat and Viscera. That has been pretty stock, actually, in Sam combo for the last... I'm not quite sure how long. But for the last little bit, at least. It's been something that they've been doing. I guess I don't need to... Yeah, I don't need to play a blue source here. Just have Counterspell or Sync Up. The Counterspells have just been so good in this deck. So I think what I've seen is like they play like 1 Bright Glass. They play 1 Bright Glass, which is I don't know if that's what I would do. Could be a fine way to build it. All right, my opponent has conceded the match. Conceded the match. Fast. Off to a fast 1-0 start. Jabin to the 37 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Keep drawing this Lrien Revealed. Nice to be on the play again. My opponent mulls to 6. Mulls to 5. So if my Tamiyo lives, we're going to not crack the Bauble so that we can go 1 mana Emry. Okay, so they're playing through the breach. Good counterspell matchup. I need to decide how important it is for me to hold up Metallic Rebuke. The main thing to hedge against with a Rebuke on this turn would be K command. I think that's okay, because if they K command my Tamiyo, then I'm still going to have Emry going. Right. I think I need the Bauble in play so that I can play this Kappa Cannoneer a bit better. Don't know why I wasn't thinking that. I guess I still am kind of surprised actually that they're playing Karn. So because they've minused, we can play a Kappa Cannoneer. They grab an Engineered Explosives. Interesting. Does Mox Opal let me... I don't think it lets me Cannoneer with Rebuke up, but it's close. I think I'm 1 short, right? I guess it would let me... Thoughtcast, though, right? Do I want to Thoughtcast? If I Thoughtcast, then... Yeah, I should Thoughtcast now, because they're about to blow up all my zeros. Oh, more zeros. So I don't want to play those out into the explosives, plus the Karn to stop me from popping them. Also, Tamiyo picking up Counterspell is... I don't even think I mentioned this in the deck tech, but it's pretty big. So if they -4 in Snaring Bridge here, we should be able to kill the Karn with Emry at least. It'd be pretty tough for them to deal with both. Instead, they grab a Pithing Needle and they play a Fiery Islet. You're telling me Urza is a good card in Modern? I am telling you that. In fact... Like every time we've played this version of the deck, it's gone really well for us. We've had some success with other like mid-rangey Mox Opal builds, but I do think like this build specifically has not had enough attention. We've tried this build a lot, and it has not really gone poorly for us at all. I would imagine they pop the explosives main phase to stop like any affinity cards, any Kappa Cannoneer. Upkeep not that different, I guess. Oh, ice. Okay, so they want to do this. So they didn't want to pop the explosives first because then I could target something to play with the Emry. So will they... yeah, they'll pop it now. Karn down. They've got 2 cards in their hand. Seems like I should be holding the... Sink in my hand most of the time here, right? Let me see what my top card is. It's an Urza Saga. Wouldn't it be good to play those Baubles to force the EE and rebuke it? If you could kill Karn and still have the Baubles. You're mistaken. So I didn't have those Baubles in my hand until after I'd cast the Thoughtcast. At that point, I had no blue mana to cast the Metallic Rebuke. If I could have played those Baubles to have Rebuke up, that's fine. But maybe I'm the one that's mistaken. But my impression was that I tapped my blue mana to cast Thoughtcast to draw the Baubles and did not have blue mana to cast Rebuke available. Has anyone tested Loot Cauldron in Modern? Surprised no one did yet. Yeah, so I think this is an interesting comment. I've been kind of wondering where this comment is coming from. I've gotten it a couple times now. I almost wonder, does this card do anything? Not really, but we could just hold up the Sink next turn. It's like just kind of nice to be able to pressure them. Yeah, so I've been wondering, like, is this like something that happens in Standard? Because like my general impression of that combo is that there are like many better like creatures you could Cauldron. Kiki-Jiki, Gristlebrand, or like the 2 main that come to mind, Yawgmoth, like all seem much better to me than trying to Cauldron loot. But like, yeah, is this something that people do in standard? Is this like why this comment keeps coming up? I just like kind of surprised. We've made no effort at in standard. Okay, that's interesting. I just think it's interesting that people keep bringing it up, you know. But yeah, Fulminator Mage, Gristlebrand, Kiki-Jiki, Yawgmoth. These are just better in my opinion than Loot, and especially because like Loot is just an awful card to draw. Like if it's in your hand, you have to get in the graveyard. And so like if you're gonna do that, I would just rather do that with Gristlebrand. I've already done some brewing with Repurposing Bay. I have. So there's two things: Repurposing Bay, sacking 4s into 5s, sacking into Experimental Synthesizer, sacking your 7 mana affinity cards into 8 mana stuff. All of that's pretty good. Okay, this still puts them dead on board, so we'll keep the sink in our hand. All of this has seemed pretty good so far. What has been tough is that your 8 drops are not so powerful that they're just ending the game. They're fine, but they aren't exactly just like slam dunk game winners either. I've been cutting the Kappa Cannoneers a lot in these kind of matchups. You just kind of want to bury them in card advantage and counter spells. And I guess I want all the forces, so maybe I actually just go down on the rebukes. I've kind of found that I don't want to board out more than 2 artifacts. Otherwise, it just starts to feel like not counting Kappa Cannoneer, cheap artifacts. Otherwise, like your Urzas and your Moxes and your Thoughtcasts and Emrys just start to feel worse. I think you can trim 2. Let's click submit. What was I talking about? Oh, Loot Cauldron? No, I feel like we were done with that. I can't remember. But will this be the best Mox Opal shell if Breach gets banned, Governor? I don't know, maybe. So, like, I think there are a lot of good Mox Opal shells. I think the... nothing is as busted as Breach, because Breach is, like, a really silly, like, what were they thinking kind of card. You know, just one of those. I think that this general build is pretty underplayed and underexplored. I can't. We've played a lot of this kind of build, and it's never really gone poorly for us. For the mono blue build, at least, we've had some worse streams with like Dimir or Zurius, but mono blue has just consistently felt pretty strong. So I am certainly interested in people taking a closer look at this archetype, but I can't really answer that question for you, I suppose, until more eyes get on it. You know what I mean? Because I also probably have like maybe 20 matches total. We played against round 1. We played against Omnath round 1, and we beat him so bad game 1 they just conceded the match. It's an interesting draw. Seems like I should probably play it. Does this deck want some kind of mass artifact token generation? Spike, you know what this deck needs? Mass token artifact generation. What is that? What is that? Tamiyo meets the story circle? No, I mean, like, you have a specific card in mind. I'll take it. I'll take mass artifact token generation, but like, what does that mean? What card are we talking about? I would love mass token artifact generation. Big fat with the 4 months. Hope you're doing well. So you replicate to play around Force. They get a Force in their deck. Like Story Circle Asthma package. Yeah, I mean, so like if you add Story Circle, you need to play Archway of Innovation. That is a deck that we've been playing. You can play that. You can't play Story Circle without Archway and a bunch of big stuff. So that's a different deck. Asthma package is just a different deck. Yeah, I think those are just different decks, but not necessarily bad decks. Has no one tested Sword of the Meek and Thopter Foundry Modern? Seems underexplored. I agree that it's underexplored. I haven't tested it myself. No, that is definitely something that I've always been kind of a hater of Thopter Sword. It's been an archetype that I don't find myself gravitating towards, but it could just be like secretly pretty good. Wasn't Thopter Sword what got Astral Wave banned? Definitely not. All right, let's let this happen. That is an interesting revisionist history, if I'm going to be quite honest. I think we just get Mishra's Bauble. And then we got a lot of interaction up. And these turns have just been feeling so good. Just Urza I'm holding up, Hardcast thing, plus pitch Force of Negation. Could this deck play Lodestone? I mean, not. So this is kind of interesting. I think to some extent you guys are trying to kind of reinvent the wheel when it comes to this archetype. Mass Artifact Generation, Asmo, Lodestone Golem. The answer is for me is like it's just Counterspell, brother. And like all of these other directions are lesson on the counterspells. But like let's think about it on a more macro level. This deck is very good. It has a lot of cheap artifacts. It has that make mana. It has a lot of card draw spells. It has Urza Saga. It has Urza. It has Kappa Cannoneer and Shadowspear. All of these aspects make you really good at outgrinding other decks. The problem is hate cards. The problem is combo decks. How do you beat those? You just play a crap ton of counter spells, and you can play actual counterspell in the deck too, which is great. And for me, this seems to be for me, this is my solution. We're 2-0. Let's play the deck. All right, let's go to mulligan to 6. This hand's definitely a lot better. How does Voyage Home compare to Thoughtcast? That's blue-white, and I want to be staying to mono blue for now. Yeah, I think I'm putting back the Kappa here. Nara with the 40, thank you, welcome back. Any chance you could move to the center of the cam? Nope. I don't know. Chill out is my response to that. We have a match 1. We won game 1 against Obnath, and they conceded without finishing the match. We beat them pretty bad game 1. It's unclear exactly why they conceded. I guess Burning Inquiry my Tamiyo flips. I don't know if that's exactly something I want. Bro likes the bottom quadrant. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like with Piece of Love when chatters are like, you know, like Spike move 2 centimeters to the left, Spike sit up straight, Spike drink water. Like I'm like a real person. Don't, you know, try to control my movements, please. Glow with the 3 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Spike say thank you for my 3 months up. Thank you, Glow and Hammer with the 3 months. Best card in the matchup. All right, let's counter Marco Sharko. Could be good to try to counter a looting spell instead. It's just like, what if they have Street Wraith? What if they have 2 looting spells? What if they don't cast anything else? Was Bright Glass Brood Scout promising in testing? Yeah, it was pretty solid. It was like definitely slower, but definitely like a lot grindier, or maybe not definitely a lot grindier, but felt a lot grindier. And you got to play like removal spells that weren't K command. So that is the backup deck. I'm not sure if we're gonna get to it today because I'm also like this deck I would say was probably the more promising of the two, and I guess I'm like a little bit more excited for this one today, but hopefully we can play both. I think I would trade Emry for a Brood Scale. How many gifted subs to make a league with Boggles and Modern after this one? 1,000. Going rate for Dono leagues. 1,000 gifted subs. So there's a Detective's Phoenix, so they have to bestow that right now, otherwise it gets lanterned. What do you think about the Obnath piles? 8 exile effect seems good against Ketra. You might have an okay Ketramose matchup. Hard to say for sure. Okay, there's still another Detective's Phoenix in the yards. Let me pop this now so they can't go land bestow. Interesting that it seemed did they cast the one from the, I don't think they cast the one from the yard. I think that was from hand, but I'm not actually sure. Alright, let's take this hit. Post-board the 53 months, thank you, welcome back. Interesting draw. Yeah, I think it's better to have a flying blocker here than it is to. Or I guess I could also flip the Tamiyo. I wonder if the +1 is better. +1 seems pretty good. All right. May I ask what the one of drum? Just looked at the list and maybe I missed something. Yeah, I mean it's just that I tutor Springleaf Drum enough of the time that I want to have it off Urza Saga. This happens a lot of the times when I have Mox Opal, I don't have a legend and I want another mana. I'm also just like plenty happy to just draw a Springleaf Drum. Like it doesn't feel like this is a draw that really, that I'm like ever in any situation unhappy to have picked up. Thought Monitor would be uncastable here, by the way. So sadly, 1 mana short of sinking into the Stupor here. Yeah, you should probably be playing Ketramose in the Omnath pile. Like, I don't actually even know that you're favored in that matchup. Like if you exile Ketramose and they have Relic in play, like, and you do it at instant speed, like, you're still, like, 3 for 1ing yourself most of the time, maybe 4 for 1ing if they can pop the Relic. It's not exactly, like, the best strategy, it seems. Because there's a synergy. Yeah, it's just, I think you're overthinking it. Just like a good card to have in the deck. All right, we're going to be Shadowspearing a construct, and that's probably going to be pretty game-winning, especially with the sink into the Stupor up. Sorry, sink into Stupor. I'm a changed man. The second FOMO had nothing to discard. If you have nothing in your hand and you cast a FOMO, you get to just draw a card. Okay, up a game here. It's definitely a good start we're having. I think the Spell Snares will be pretty good. Dismember is pretty painful. Killing Marco Sharko seems important to me. I think we're going to go down to Kappa Cannoneer. It seems kind of important to not draw a copy of this card early, especially on the draw. I think I'm going to trim an Emry. Trim 1 Counterspell. I don't think they're interactive enough for me to trim a Bauble. I've also been kind of toying with the idea of cutting a land post-board, just because we have so many mana sources. Like, we have 27, counting the drum. And so, like, if you go down on your curve with cutting a Kappa Cannoneer, like, can we cut a Darksteel Citadel? Let's cut Lrien Revealed. I think that makes sense because this is kind of a tap land. Let's just try that. Seems interesting. Counterspell on the draw might not be the best. I think it's just kind of, it's really good to go Counterspell Urza, Counterspell with Mox Opal, but yeah, it might not be the best. This hand is the best. I would consider Force Ever Counterspell to stop nut draws. Yeah, I think it would be worth considering. Obviously, sideboarding against Hollow One is very difficult. So, do we Thoughtcast or Metallic Rebuke? Seems like I should just be rebuking, probably. Is it possible this deck put Lrien Spy and Grinding Station, or only Lrien Spy to combo off? It wouldn't be this deck. That would be worse than Underworld Breach. You just play Underworld Breach combo, and that's a deck that you can play in Modern. I'm a big Lrien Spy hater, I think. But like, listen, the answer is just play Counterspell, and you don't need to play these combos, chat. You just need to play Counterspell. It's like, it's awesome. You don't have to do all this nonsense. Just put the card Counterspell in your deck, and instead of having a combo, you can just indeed counter target spell. Theoretically, should this deck be good or bad or neutral against Urza? I was trying to think. I couldn't come to a conclusion. I didn't play the matchup last night. I, in theory, think it should be okay. So we're definitely we're sideboarded up a little bit with the Dismembers. The Consigns are also pretty good against them. You can also play Torpor Orb in your sideboard against them. I was like a little unsure if Torpor Orb would be like a correct direction to go against them. Where interesting, I guess I don't want to haste against the construct. Where like it's like Torpor Orb. It stops your Emry, your Urza, and your Kappa Cannoneer ETBs, but also none of those are like that important, and it's really good against them, and it's an artifact. So that would be like a direction to test, and see if that is a good way to like approach that matchup dynamic. Okay, so yeah, let's just get Springleaf Drum and then go cast Emry, hold up Rebuke off the Amber. Yeah, I think Rebuke and Counterspell are both good against Orzhov. I think the Sink into the Stupor is good against them. I think that Fast Mana is good against them. But yeah, hard to say like overall. All right, seems like I should probably just counter this. I don't have any affiliates. Thank you for asking, Tika. This stream is brought to you by viewers like you. And Moxfield, who I love very much. They are the best sponsor I've ever worked with. So we are 1 damage short of lethal here. Seems fine. Turn off Street Wraith, turn off Fetch Lands. I think I might actually just go like float a Black's Mana, play Dismember the Fear of Missing Out main phase. Let me see what they're drawing. Just use my Prime then. Thank you, thank you. Maybe a more interesting question than Cloud Post being legal. Will crop rotation be playable modern? Yeah, it would go in a fringe tier 3 deck called Amulet Titan. It would be pretty good. Alright, probably want to pop this now to stop like Land Phoenix. Not that we are in much danger of dying. We have 3 lethal attackers and 2 removal spells in our hand. Oh, holy shit. Okay, well. Quite the funny end to this game. Glad to be attacked last turn. All right. Off to a good start today. Let's get a trophy prediction going. It's just sometimes the life of a brewer, kind of anecdotal. Both Mox Ambers. This hand is, if we draw Mox Opal or Mishra's Bauble, we can turn to Kappa Cannoneer. So if my opponent thought seizes me, I'm going to want to crack a Bauble or 2. Do you think this matchup is usually pretty good? Obviously, we've got kind of an awkward mulligan. Graveyard's a prismatic ending. Come on, land or non-Mox Amber 0 mana artifact. That doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, I guess. Not a 0 mana artifact, but I guess it lets me cast Kappa Cannoneer next turn. How do I feel Bowmasters is positioned? I think it's getting better, right? Where in theory, it seems to be better against Ketramose than like it has been just in general lately. I think in practice, I'm a little dubious, I suppose, that this card is actually all that good against the Ketramose decks that just play just have like a lot of life gain and a lot of removal. And so I would kind of like to see it in action. Would be something I've been thinking. I have yet to see it in action. Yeah, we are starting off 3-0. No, so we didn't. So we have played 3 matches today. They've just been pretty fast. Our round 1 opponent didn't finish the set. All right, there are now 2 cards in exile. Any chance for a white splash in the red monument deck? Prismatic Ending, Dispatch Smith were all cards I thought might be good. I think I'm way more likely to just splash blue for Consign. So there was a chatter who said that they had been splashing blue for Consign and doing quite well. Good draw. I could spin the Urza at the cost of not attacking with the construct, which seems incorrect. Let me draw a card here. Ooh. Let's attack for 7 against the Ketramose instead of holding up Rebuke. It is kind of close though. I don't have any main deck Force of Negation, so I guess we'll go probably upkeep, crack the Bauble. Yeah, I don't think we've lost I've not lost a game today. Kind of the inverse of yesterday, I guess. Consign and Blue Moon with Null Drifter has been 100% win rate. 100% cool. Does sound pretty fun. I don't think there's no one in like modern's history ever has more fun than Blue Moon players. So they're going to cast an Oculus, which turns on the Ketramose, which draws. So they go down to 3, and then they attack, and they go up to 7. So if I can play any artifact, they're dead. What was the original deck that got Cloudpost banned? I think Cloudpost started in Modern pre-banned, if I remember correctly. I might be misremembering. Cloudpost is very broken. It taps for a lot of mana. You know what I mean? So like there's like a whole legacy archetype built around it. All right, so we get to draw a card off this Bauble. We also have an Urza spin, so we have like at least 3 looks at an artifact. Post was legal for the first month of Modern. I did not know that. It was a little bit before my time. I remember like when I was first like starting out, this was like Return to Ravnica era, like all of the kind of experienced F&M people, they would always talk about Modern, and I was like, I'm going to stick to Standard. Thank you very much. Okay, so up a game against Esper, Ketra, Froculus. I think that those decks are pretty good. I like that they're trying to hammer them out. Let me bring in the Snares and the Dismembers. Let me cut the Soul Guide Lantern against the deck that wants a bunch of stuff in the Exile Zone. I like to cut a Mox Amber against the interactive decks. I'm going to try not to cut any other artifacts if possible. I think I want to play around with cutting the Lrien Revealed again. Maybe trim an Emry. Let's try this. Had Summer Bloom too. Cool. I don't think I've ever cast a Summer Bloom. Yeah, I don't know when I would have. This deck looks very strong, fast, aggressive, big value generation. Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time we played the archetype too, and it's been feeling good every time. Definitely a big fan. Sometimes I play Tamiyo and I think, what if this was hard evidence? If this was hard evidence, I would have turn 3 Urza for sure. Has anyone ever needled a frog? Sometimes I needle frogs. It doesn't happen all that often. Okay, so we have the sink into the Stupor. Can't bounce that this turn though. We'd also potentially get Urza down. Nice to have the snares in post board for this. Not that it worked this game, right? A Thoughtcast would be an interesting top deck. Amaz, the 38. Whoa, your place survived the storm. Yeah, it seems that way. Every time there's a big storm, I always have to go outside and see if the fence blew down, and because of the dogs. But we're up for now. Hope that your place did well too, Amaz. So I don't know why I phrased that as a question. Okay, so we did draw a Thoughtcast. Pretty good pickup. Another one. All right, seems like I should play this. We have 3 more sinks in the deck, and I want to be able to play Urza next turn. Okay, that was a pretty good 2 cards right there. Kappa Cannoneer or Island sink into the Stupor. So I do have multiple Urzas also. Wait, Pest Control kills Planeswalkers? It's kind of messed up. All right, for a gamer who has drawn double Pest Control, Stony Silence, Psychic Frog, we're not doing so bad. In fact, we're actually just pretty ahead. All right. All right, Relic Stony combo. I guess I don't even bounce this Stony Silence. So 1/6. Yeah, I can play Kappa Cannoneer with Sync up. Let me see what we draw. Yeah, I think I just hold up the Sync. Now I can attack and hold up the Sync. Although I guess I should have played the Bauble after the Cannoneer, so missed a counter there. All right, they consign my trigger. Resolves. Mono B for Evs. Thank you for Twitch Prime. I think I missed you. All right. 4-0. Have not lost a game. Nice double Pest Control. Oculus, Stony Silence, Psychic Frog. Draw more sideboard cards next time. It would be pretty cool to get the Flawless League. We even almost have better than a Flawless League because our opponent with match 1 was so demoralized they just left. You had lethal with the Construct token. Yeah, Mr. Tasty, are you the one we just played against? Because I was talking about our round 1 opponent who conceded without finishing the match. Yeah, no turn 1 Tamiyo flips yet. I did one yesterday, though, and it was like, ooh, pretty good. So Watery Grave, Delta, and then Upkeep Push. I can play around Force of Negation, I guess. Stony's good for sure. I was wondering if I'd want to have more rips. Yeah, I don't know. An interesting thought. Wow, Force of Negation, my Soul Guide Lantern. Interesting. They have like an Oculus in hand. Okay, punished for not playing out the Mox Opal. Hard to feel too upset about this, though. And my opponent has kept a 1-lander. Feeling pretty good. Moth's Changeling for Mox Jasper. That is kind of fun and an Affinity Shell. I will not be playing it in this version, probably, but... This match is for a trophy? Alright, I think let's try the same sideboard plan, probably. Well, I guess do I want Lantern against the... a build that we don't know if they're playing Ketramose or not? I might. Yeah, then Dark... Like, if I thought they were on Stony Silence, let's board assuming that they're Dimir. And not Esper. So I've cut 1. I don't cut more than 2 of the cheap artifacts is my new current sideboard rule. So I think I can cut a second here. They forced it aggressively. I would keep the Lantern. I mean, Yeah, y'all also probably should have mulliganed the one lander. Trim counterspell on the draw, maybe. Maybe. I think the counterspells are pretty just important. They have like a bunch of 3-drops too. But you could trim one on the draw. It'd be totally fine. All right, let's keep Dreams of Steel and Oil. Takes the Tamiyo. I guess Dreams of Steel and Oil Bug alive and well. And I'll play this out to play on another copy. I guess them playing this kind of does signify they're on Ketramose, right? So the Mox Opal doesn't tap for mana, so I can't actually cast this Thoughtcast right now. That's okay, though. Kind of sick versus Breach, to be fair. This card is like... This card does not take the card Underworld Breach, which is a big concern of mine. Well, I drew Spell Snare. Our draws this league have been pretty good. They've been pretty good. Although I guess I'd rather make a construct than cast a Thoughtcaster right now. But I just love being able to counter another Bowmaster here. Alright, Force of Negation this, so may not be casting this Thoughtcast anytime soon. They pitch a Consider. Wait, we can probably cast this, like, take 2, flip the Tamiyo. Seems like it's probably okay. This is an insane draw. So I'm gonna get Mox Amber. And then just hold up the Counterspell. Yeah, I like it's this deck is just so, it's too simple for you guys, honestly. It's like every comment is just Mirror and Spy, Asbo, Mass Artifact Generation, the new Dragon Box and the Changeling. Just this Counterspell is insane in the deck. it's just the answer it seems to have just been Counterspell all along. weirdly enough, I know it's not the flashiest, but boy oh boy is it getting the job done. It's just like I just drew this card and I can't lose. All right, Deluge into the yard. Isn't the first Counterspell you cast in like 8 games? Definitely not. I have definitely cast Counterspell every match. I believe I've cast Counterspell every match. Is it not insane here? Do you think Blue-White Control is actually a good deck now, or is it the genius of Gabriel to see if they can look good? Yeah, you can play Blue-White Control. When we played like the Esper Ketramose build, it felt pretty interesting. We played like 1 league and 3-2'd, and the list felt like it was pretty untuned, but it felt like there was something good there. Didn't even cast that Counterspell. All right, did not lose a single game. Let's run it back. Chests are pretty bad.